Well, the culprit in this case isn't fire, it's mold. The nasty black mold that ruins buildings and makes people sick. If you look behind me, you can see there are no more fire trucks at this fire station, only evidence of people moving out. That's after firefighters called in a complaint of some of that mold. When the city sent over investigators, they told them it wasn't safe for anyone to be here.
But what most people don't understand is that a lot of molds actually produce what's called a mycotoxin, which is a poison. It's like the World Health Organization states, they call it the great masquerader of the 21st century because it can masquerade like so many different illnesses.
You walk into a room and you like sniff around a little bit and you don't smell that sort of moldy smell. Does that mean you're in the clear or no?
Unfortunately not.
I can smell it.
And you see, I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth, and I don't want to die.
And we don't even see what's behind the walls. You're just seeing what's on the top. You don't know what's back there.
And listen, I'm very sensitive to mold, and like I said, by the time I left there today, I was not feeling well.
They are coughing, they're wheezing. They believe this mold that you just saw in that video there in their apartments is killing them.
I'm going to condemn a couple of buildings out here today.
In 24 to 48 hours, you got a little surprise on your hands. Maybe a big surprise.
What are we going to do about preventing it the next time? Because you guys are going to be doing, you have a plan now to stop this and to eradicate one building. My concern is you have 7 other buildings.
We're in the same room. We're talking about mold. We're talking about mold. We're talking about the safety of teachers and children. We want to make sure that the schools are safe from mold. So yesterday when I asked you specifically about mold in Hickory High School, you said no.
I did not say no.
I've seen them personally, the conditions that members are living in, and it is unacceptable.
You just keep telling me, oh, it's nothing, it's nothing, it's nothing. But it is something. Mold is bad.
I will not tolerate anyone being retaliated against or intimidated because they are exposing or reporting the mold.
If there is bodily harm, you should move out.
I don't have the money to, sir.
I'm just telling you, you should protect your health first.
Well, you tell me how I'm going to protect my health without money.
I'm telling you what the options are. Right, so the option is you have to protect yourself.
So you want me to live in my car?
I'm not saying that, sir.
That's what you're telling me. I don't have the money. I can't work because of my lungs. And you're telling me to move out of my place? Take my way out. Come and do your job.
Are you yelling now?
Yeah, I'm yelling now.
Okay, we're done.
I'm here at 728 West Main Street, where I currently live, and I have to leave because of how bad the mold problems are here, so I'm going to take you for a little tour of it. Check out that black mold. Clearly not dirt, obviously black mold. Let's get that off there. Black mold everywhere. It's the other part of the basement. All my stuff got ruined that I had stored in here. It grew this black mold all over it. You can see it's just everywhere. Terrible black mold. I have to throw out these air conditioners because they all black mold all through them now too. From this place, I need to get rid of thousands of dollars worth of stuff that I had here.
welcome to Health Talk. I'm Julie Banderas, filling in for Dr. Manny. Actress Suzanne Summers has been making us laugh for decades, but it was no laughing matter when she and her family started getting sick. Her experience led her to write her new book, Toxic, From Toxic to Not Sick, to explain what she believes is the cause for many diseases. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, tell me what happened with your family. All of you became sick?
Well, it's a process. My house burned down in Malibu a few years ago, so after we needed to find a house to live in, so we leased this beautiful house up on the hill, big, white, modern. I said, this is so great, let's buy this and not bother rebuilding and all the aggravation. So we lived there 4 years, and I was just noticing, my husband, who is so healthy, eats fruit and nuts. I mean, he's like one of those people. His nose, it was like constantly sinus infections and red eyes and watery eyes and sneezing, and then he started getting facial tics, like grimacing that he couldn't control. It was doing this thing. So we took him to the doctor, and they said, well, first doctor said probably Parkinson's, the next one said pre-Parkinson's. I said, no, he's too healthy, he does not have Parkinson's. Then I started getting sick. I would wake up with kind of a flat stomach, and then I'd look like I was giving birth to a basketball at the end of the day. Like, what was that? And then I ended up in the hospital in anaphylactic shock, and they did a CAT scan, and they came in and they said, we hate what we have to say, but we have never seen this much cancer in a human body. A profound sadness when somebody tells you that. Then it was validated by 6 doctors over 6 days. On the 6th day, they said to me, we would like to do a biopsy. I don't even know why I agreed, because I was in a spacey thing of, I'm going to die. It was the weirdest. Wow, I know what it feels like. It's a spacey feeling. So after I woke up in intensive care after the surgery, I heard them say, wow, you don't have any cancer anywhere.
What?
So what had happened to me and my husband was, when we were living in this leased house, there was an unfinished room downstairs that I knew was there, but I never went there because it's unfinished. There was standing water. It's like a black mold factory, and the worst kind of black mold, Stachybotrys, and it got up into the drywall. It got up into the air conditioning ducts and vents. It was like a little shop of horrors, and I even saw some mold in my closet, but I grew up with the bathroom tile. There was mold. My mother would put some bleach, and so we'd put some bleach. My husband did not have Parkinson's. He had mold that had settled into his whole sinus area, and then it worked its way down into the neck axis, where the base of the brain, which is the cerebellum, the central nervous system, and that was what was causing the facial spasms. For me, the mold got in my intestines. That's what that basketball was. Anytime I'd eat some sugar, which is a happy meal for mold, candida, yeast, fungus, cancer. They all are about the same organism, and they all thrive on sugar. So I would have a bite of, I wasn't a big sugar eater, but ice cream here. Any sugar I had would allow the mold to multiply 52 million times within a 24-hour period. So that's what this basketball was. And the mold had so degraded my immune system that it dislodged a dormant fungus in me called coccidiomycosis that is in the top 2 layers of soil in the desert Southwest, and I have an organic garden and I work in it. So thank God I didn't take the chemotherapy. Thank God he didn't take Parkinson's drugs. But then I went on a journey to find how to get this out of our body, and the journey was to realize that it's about the food you eat, and it's about what you put on your skin and what you're cleaning your house with, and detox constantly. Here's how it works. Toxins come in through the skin, through the air we breathe, our lungs, and the food we eat. That's how we get it. It gets down into the GI tract, eats holes through the barrier wall, which is your immune system, and then leaks out, leaky gut, into the bloodstream, and then roams around creating havoc. It looks for organs of opportunity because they love to live in fat. Organs are very fatty. Their favorite organ is the brain because it's 65% fat. So when the toxins make their way up into the brain, that's where you get your ADD, your ADHD, your autoimmune diseases. It all starts in here.
Everybody is in a dieting craze these days.
Right.
And everyone is constantly talking about counting calories, cutting down on their fat, cutting back on carbohydrates. And you're saying, in fact, that it's the toxins that are making us overweight.
I call it your toxic burden. The body in its wisdom is trying to keep the toxins away from our precious organs and glands, because our liver was never meant to process the environmental assault that we're under, which is the greatest assault in the history of humanity. And so The body in its wisdom says, well, I don't want this near the liver, I don't want it near the glands, I'll store it in the fats. The more toxins you take in, the more fat you need to store it. That's the obesity problem.
Yeah, but the question is, how do you avoid toxins? Because daily life, we are exposed to toxins. So what's a good way to sort of cleanse ourselves of toxins every single day so they don't have a chance to build up and get into your blood supply and affect your organs and make you sick?
We're not going to be able to change the planet. We have done the damage. So what you can do is you can keep your own body clean by the food you eat, the cosmetics you use, the skincare you use, what you clean your house with. Then you green your house as best you can. It took me about a year to green up. I switched to an organic mattress because I realized I was sleeping on one of these foam mattresses that has a lot of chemicals in it, so I got rid of that.
You're breathing that in all night long.
That's where we spend most time.
And it also potentially could, sink into your skin, into your bloodstream.
Totally.
This book obviously is extremely helpful because all of us are toxic.
Right.
Laura Levine had lived here at Southside on Lamar for only a few weeks when she says she became ill.
A few weeks after I moved in, I got an upper respiratory infection. After that, about 2 weeks later, I got ear infections in both ears.
She says she went to 7 doctors and even had a sinus operation, but didn't get better.
I've had surgery. What's wrong? There's been times where I thought I'm just dying.
Then she says she went to a specialist who finally figured out what was wrong with her.
And it wasn't until, 8 months into living there, maybe 9 months, that I finally figured out that mold was potentially the issue.
She says they found mold after doctors took a nasal culture. So she hired mold expert science to check her apartment, and the report came back with high levels of mold in the air conditioning system.
The mold experts were also just shocked at the amount of mold and substances that were being blown through the air into her lungs, into her body.
Levine says she went to the apartment management for help and they offered to have the system cleaned, but she and her attorney say the mold is in her furniture and in all of her belongings and can't be removed without specialized equipment. So Levine moved out.
It's a really extenuous process. It was going to cost me upwards of $8,000 just for my furniture alone.
She now has sued Southside on Lamar's owners for her mounting medical bills and the cleaning of her belongings.
What she's been through, we're here to right her wrong.
We asked Southside on Lamar for comment multiple times, but got no response. As for Laura Levine, she says she has to be treated in a hyperbaric chamber like this one to remove the toxins in her body. She says she hopes it will work so she can feel better again. In Dallas, I'm Rebecca Lopez.
At 6 o'clock, a teacher files a lawsuit against the Austin ISD. She says that mold at Travis Heights Elementary School has made her sick.
Her attorney says she came forward after a KXAN investigation into mold at another Austin ISD school. He told our Alyssa Gord she's not after cash. She just wants to be able to work at a different school.
A teacher at Travis Heights Elementary had to be hospitalized and was left unable to work. Her doctors believe it was triggered by mold. She believes it was in her classroom.
Jane, and it's a Jane Doe.
For her medical privacy, we don't know her name. Her attorney says the problem started back in 2014.
She started having seizures, and she worked in a part of the school that they've described to me as the lower level. It had serious mold and water problems.
By February of 2017, she took a leave of absence.
She's got a inflammatory response syndrome where any kind of exposure to a higher level or even a lower level in her case of mold triggers a lot of autoimmune issues.
This fall, she told the district she was healthy enough to work, but she wanted to be placed at another school. According to the lawsuit, the district wrote back saying Jane would not be assigned to a different school because she is unable to perform the essential functions of her job.
Can she go back to work? Is there any reason why she's not allowed to go back to work?
Now Jane's suing for those answers, not money.
If they wanted to reassign her back to there, then I think it would be appropriate for us to say, show us some mold tests to make sure it's clean. I mean, at this point, she has no faith in the safety of that building for her.
Alyssa Gord, KXAN News.
We asked AISD for a response to the lawsuit, and they declined to comment, saying they hadn't been served. We also asked about mold testing at Travis Heights, When was it last done? What were the results? And if any remediation has happened? The district told us to file an open records request for those answers. By law, they have 10 days to respond. We'll let you know what they say.
The Austin ISD is also being sued by the parents of a 5-year-old girl who they say their daughter suffers from acute allergies after being exposed to mold at her East Austin school. The lawsuit says she was hospitalized within days of attending pre-K at Oak Springs Elementary School in September of 2016. We spoke to her mother after a KXAN investigation on school mold revealed she had been exposed to unacceptable levels of mold in the classroom. AISD and other districts telling us testing is expensive, so it's complaint-driven. Either someone visibly spots mold or reports health problems. The district says if you have cause for concern, contact your child's principal to request a test.
Yeah, good morning, Giacala. No school for some nearly 600 school kids and teachers here at the Padilla School in Yonkers after they were evacuated on an emergency basis yesterday afternoon. Literally told to get up and leave the building once toxic mold had been found inside their school. This morning, crews have started to attack mold found in a Yonkers school. It led to an emergency evacuation, and then last night, a heated meeting with parents worried about their kids' health.
They had no issues all summer. No allergies, no runny noses, no eyes. She would break out in hives last year and the year before. I'd have to take her to the emergency every other week. It only happens during the school year.
25% of tests Monday at Padilla School 15 were positive for black mold after spots were seen on ceiling tiles. But parents said these mold problems were evident for years.
Somebody put this on the back burner. As I said, mold takes weeks, months, years. It didn't develop the first 2 weeks of school.
Once it was found yesterday, 600 students and teachers at Padilla were immediately evacuated.
I got very scared. On the loudspeaker, they said to drop everything and get out of the classroom and meet me in the hallway.
Now the school superintendent says students in pre-K to 7th grade are being shuffled to 2 new schools. The younger students to Dodson, and 5th through 7th grade going to Roosevelt High School. Parents objected.
I have a problem with them on the bus with 12 and 13-year-olds in the 8th grade right now without a bus monitor. High school is not an option with the smoke and the language and the environment that's going on.
Families are facing 2 sets of problems now. How are their kids going to be educated and where? And also, what about this exposure to mold? How long have these children been exposed and what are they dealing with? Symptoms of mold exposure can include those respiratory problems that you heard the parents speaking of in our story just a little bit earlier. It can also lead to nausea, tiredness, even mental impairment, according to medical experts, inflammatory issues, immune system suppression, and even organ failure, a really big list of problems that parents may be dealing with. We are live in Yonkers this morning where there is no school at the Padilla School. I'm Kirsten Colpix, 11 News.
Charlotte, Newswatch 16 spoke with an infectious disease specialist who says the exceptionally hot summer and wet weather is the perfect recipe for mold to thrive. Jersey Shore Area School District is the latest to notice white mold in its buildings, but the superintendent says this will not delay the start of school. Classes are scheduled to start next Wednesday in the Jersey Shore Area School District. Parents and students were supposed to go to the schools tonight.
They were to have open house tonight, but they said they postponed it because of the mold.
The Jersey Shore Area School District put this message on its Facebook page saying white mold was found in 2 of its 5 schools. The buildings will be closed through next Tuesday so the mold can be cleaned. The superintendent says this will not delay the start of school. Jersey Shore isn't the only school district that's facing this problem. Other school districts, including Williamsport and Milton, are facing similar issues.
I guess they should have turned the air conditioner on or opened up the windows.
I think it's good that they clean it up or to get the kids in there.
So what happens when people are exposed to white mold?
Cough, dry hackingness,
They can have breathing problems, sinus infections, and also something called as hypersensitive pneumonitis, which means it's an inflammation of the lungs.
Dr. Ratul Dalal is the director of infectious diseases at UPMC Susquehanna in Williamsport. He says hot weather and heavy downpours of rain is the perfect recipe for mold to thrive.
Especially for kids, like, in our school area, you can't play around because sometimes people can get allergic reactions and it can last for months to years.
Black mold at a place designated to protect women and children. A mom of 6 contacted 9 on Your Side with her concerns about health and safety at Bethany House. Kristen Swilley got answers from the organization and tells us what steps they say that they are taking to remedy this problem.
The executive director of the Bethany House says there was black mold inside the facility. She says it's gone now, but the mom you're about to meet brought her 6 children here to Cincinnati Children's Hospital and says she's skeptical the problem's been fixed.
I have babies who are sick, and I feel like that's dead wrong.
This is what Erica Jackson saw night after night. Then her children started getting sick.
He began wheezing and coughing last Saturday, I want to say. After that, it continued on up until Monday, and I took all 6 of my children because they all experienced cold-like symptoms.
That's when she got this diagnosis from doctors at Children's: respiratory infections. Their symptoms were due to mold exposure.
I made phone calls to the health department. I've made phone calls to legal aid. I've had a sit-down meeting with the president of the Bethany House.
The executive director took us to the bathroom where Jackson took that video and says the mold is completely gone. Jackson isn't convinced.
And my thing is, if you clean it from the surface, it was on the HVAC system, so it has to be in the ventilation system. And that's still not being cured if you're only fixing the surface and you're not fixing how it's circulating through the house.
She's not sure what her next step will be, but says she couldn't stay quiet.
A daycare worker is searching for answers after she claims she was fired simply for trying to keep children safe. As 11 Alive's Caitlin Ross reports, the woman says her former employer let her go the same day she complained about dangerous conditions.
Yeah, I'm just not okay with it. It really freaks me out, especially being a mom.
Mary Ellen Pate has a 5-month-old daughter, and when she saw the black mold at the Swanee Prep School daycare, she wanted to protect all of the kids she was caring for.
So whenever I found all of these safety hazards in the school, it just really made me think, like, wow, what if my daughter were in here?
She only worked at the center for 2 weeks, and she says she raised her concerns with other employees who said they saw mold in the dishwasher, the clothes washer, under 4 sinks and a cabinet.
The same cabinet that housed their rain boots, which the kids had access to. If you were to take a paper towel and wipe out those rain boots, the paper towel came out with mold.
She thought it was bad enough that she took pictures of the mold and filed a report with Bright from the Start, the state agency that licenses daycares in Georgia. She was fired the same day.
Cell phone usage on the 17th, which the 17th is the same day that I took the pictures.
The daycare confirmed Pate was fired for using her phone. In a statement, the director told me they were aware of the complaint about the mold, saying they fixed it, adding, quote, "The care and well-being of our students and staff is a top priority, as demonstrated by our prompt response." But Pate says she wants parents at the daycare to know about the potential exposure, and she wants to see the findings from Bright from the Start.
They were very concerned. They came in, I filed the report on June 17th. They came in on the 23rd, and she interviewed everybody who was relevant to the case.
Black mold can grow quickly and hide in damp areas of your home, like your bathroom or kitchen. Sometimes you can smell it before you actually see it. So if you ever detect something a little musty, go check it out. Something else to watch out for: allergies. If anyone in your family develops symptoms like wheezing or a stuffy nose, that could be a sign of black mold is nearby as well.
It's atrocious. It's mind-boggling. It's shocking.
Black mold. That's what Melissa Kilgore says she's been living with for months. You can see the mold in different parts of her apartment, from the ceiling to the vent to the baseboards.
You look down in there, you can see it growing up. All of that. You see it all the way down in the carpet. It looks like fuzz, but it's not. It's mold.
She says it's making her sick. She's dealt with fatigue, skin issues, and even lost her hair.
Now all the nights of not being able to sleep or throwing up or just not being able to eat or my hair just disappearing, it's been a lot.
She says she feels the management team has been slow to respond to the issue, but simply moving out isn't easy.
I can't afford to just up and leave. Like, I have a lot invested in all my furniture, my belongings, and now like the spores from the mold, that's something that's got to be replaced.
We spoke with the property manager for Springhouse Apartments. She says they have been notified of the issue and are sending a team to Kilgore's apartment on Tuesday. Kilgore says she just wants the issue resolved and for no one else to deal with what she's gone through.
Situations like this, I feel like I can be a voice for the people that don't have other options.
In Augusta, Denise Jefferson, WJBF News Channel 6.
Right up here in the corner, I just seen little spots.
Marcia Hill Brown showed Eyewitness News her ceiling where she says black mold started growing out of the walls in their North Meridian Street apartment. She says after cleaning the initial mold with bleach, it just got worse. So she reported it to the landlord.
I let him know, like, hey, I called emergency maintenance. I think I have some black mold in my apartment. And she's like, okay, well, we'll send somebody right up there.
But now look how she says the mold has spread in just weeks.
I take pictures every week. There's more mold.
This portion of the wall behind her desk is full of fungus, enough to raise questions, she says, about their recent illnesses.
My daughter has reactive lungs. I've had a sinus infection almost every other month.
And the mold could be the reason. According to the CDC, allergy symptoms for mold and mildew include rashes, watery eyes, a running nose, and coughing. But the CDC says there are no government standards established for household mold levels, making it almost impossible to enforce health regulations.
I don't want any dealings with any negative health issues, but I did call the health department.
The pictures tell one story. The residents tell another.
Not even overnight, I started getting like the worst headache, like having allergies, and I was like, I feel like something's not right.
Zhang, Robbins, and Chiduri were living with black mold on their walls, floors, and ceiling. The confirmation came from an inspector the roommates hired themselves at the end of August after a prolonged battle with Dillon management to address this issue. Zhang and her roommates felt and still feel symptoms from the mold. They made their first official complaints to the Dillon in May, sending along tons of photos and videos. They say the Dillon put dehumidifiers in the apartment, but it was still there, under their carpets and in their closets. Maintenance workers from the Dillon then cut out part of the drywall, leaving insulation and piping exposed.
They never once said the word mold. They never once said the word remediation, and they were still kind of denying that it was even mold to begin with.
The renters say the Dillon conducted its own mold inspection in June and told them there was no trace of mold. But the Dillon never shared the lab results. This was before the residents paid for an independent inspector.
Personally, it feels like the biggest slap in the face. Like that maintenance didn't even care enough to tell us that, like, because it was affecting our health.
The women say the inspector strongly suggested they move out for the safety of their own health. One of the renters even worked in the Dillon's leasing office. She says they asked her and her roommates to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
They said, we need you to sign an NDA because we don't need an employee slandering the Dillon. And I said, well, it's not slander if it's true.
Robbins said she and her roommates refused to sign the NDA and was fired. The Dillon hasn't paid Robbins for several months of work since her termination.
They're breaking a ton of laws, and that's why we thought from the beginning, we were like, oh, well, they're going to have to do something, or they're at least going to want to do something, because what they're doing is so illegal.
For the sake of their health, the tenants broke their lease this month. The Dillon refunded their August and September rent, but refused to reimburse more than $7,500 worth of damage to personal items they had to throw away. They could only keep what was metal and plastic. That's not their only concern. Robbins, who lived in the apartment the longest, nearly a year, has a skin lesion, swollen lymph nodes, and a biopsy scheduled.
I feel like the reason that they're getting away with this is because, like, we're college students and they think that college students don't have, like, the ability or the voice or the money to, like, actually, like, fight for what is correct.
The roommates relocated to a new apartment complex. but they say they'll forever be worried about any place they call home.
Well, with the extreme wet weather has come the issue of mould. Isn't it annoying? And in the case of our next guest, the situation's so bad, doctors ordered them to leave their home immediately.
Yeah, Chrissy and Lee Butler join us now live from the Gold Coast to talk about this one. Chrissy, I mean, this is outrageous. Let's just talk about how bad the mould is inside your rental home.
Yeah, so we had some independent hygienists come and assess the property, and they determined 4 types of mould. They did 2 air samples and 1 carpet sample. The air sample showed at 150 times higher than the safest recommended level, and the carpet samples showed 5,000 times higher than the safest recommended level. Basically every room in the rental property we were leasing was showing mould through the carpets. So it's just spread and gone everywhere, especially with all of the rain that we've had this year.
I didn't even know there were levels, right? And so how does that translate into what can happen to you physically?
Yeah, so when they give us that report, they give you a list of potential health implications and a bit more further information about the strains that they found, and they listed that the mycotoxins in the mould strains that were found in the property can lead to respiratory issues, they can lead to neurological damage.
Wow.
Some have been linked to cancer. There's a lot, and the unfortunate thing is mould-related illnesses don't show up straight away. They can take time to show up.
To diagnose, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and doctors are not really the wiser for it either with that.
So, I mean, you've raised this. It's a rental property, so it's not your responsibility to get all of this fixed. What happened when you took these results to the property manager?
When we realised it was mould, we let the property manager know, and basically he just started sending us all of the current news articles that are about mould that are in the news right now, about how to maintain and clean mould. And we didn't agree with that because we don't feel that this is something that can be maintained, and we didn't cause this issue. We felt this was coming from the foundation, and that was proven correct in the building inspection that we had. So, yeah.
All right, so you vacated the property on the 17th of May, but you were still forced to pay rent despite the property's condition. How much have you lost here?
At the moment, we've tallied it up to about $12,000. That's just in building inspectors' reports, rent that we've paid, the mould reports, and that doesn't even include, other little things. We haven't even added those up yet. And then we've just emptied our entire house, and we've had family and friends dump that because we can't take that. So we've lost everything pretty much except our clothes and some kitchen items.
You'd have insurance though, right?
Yeah, we have contents insurance, and we've paid diligently for, about 10 years with this insurer. We have informed them, and on Monday they let us know that they wouldn't be compensating us with that. So we're still in further talks with them, hoping that they will come to the party.
What's the insurance name?
Yeah. I'm apprehensive of
We'd just like to keep that quiet for now until we sort out.
By the way, that's not a bad name for an insurance company. I'm apprehensive. Hey guys, where do you take it from here?
A few lovely friends of ours have set up a GoFundMe just in the hopes that we can try and recoup something. We're really wanting to get the message out because we've had so many people message us since we've shared our story, telling us their stories that they have been left homeless, they've lost their properties. But we don't know where to go from here. We've got a bit more of a battle to go, and so we're trying to face that at the moment.
All right, well, best of luck with it. Let us know how you go.
Yeah. Keep in touch, and if we can help further, let us know.
And also, if there's anyone else out there, do let us know as well, and we'll pursue it.
Tonight, we are asking the tough questions as outrage grows over the discovery of mold in a local school and the shutdown of every single school in that district. Frustrated parents are demanding answers, but they say they're not getting much information from school officials. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jessica Dean.
And I'm Nicole Brewer, in for Yuki Washington. Right now, families don't know when the schools will reopen. Eyewitness News reporter Joe Holden is live in Williamstown, New Jersey, with the very latest on that. Joe, what can you tell us?
Well, Nicole and Jess, parents are outraged, as you have mentioned. Few answers today after a very, very raucous school board meeting last night. We are standing outside the administration building where the superintendent has been holed up all day. We've left several messages trying to reach him because parents want to know, number one, what is the smoking gun? Why the mold in Holly Glen Elementary? And why shut down the entire district? The best information we have right now is that school, at the balance of schools in this district, won't be back in session until at least next Monday. The day after a stormy, several hours long emergency meeting in the Monroe Township School District, and frustration is still off the charts.
I'm completely appalled. It looks like from things that I've been seeing and research that they've known about it since at least 2012.
Right now, all schools in this Gloucester County district in Williamstown are shuttered. Fear has spread like the very mold an expert report shows was rampant inside Holly Glen Elementary School. Under intense questioning by a parent, a building supervisor on Monday night revealed various strains of mold have been known about for some time. Listen to the exchange.
When did you know that there was a mold problem in our school system?
January of this year, for sure.
Just a dozen hours after that dramatic meeting, there wasn't a soul to be found at Holly Glen or Williamstown Middle School. No workers, nothing. Students claim mold has been an issue at the middle school.
In the locker rooms in the middle school, near the showers, and right next to the lockers.
Hi, good morning. My name is Joe. I'm from Channel 3. Is the superintendent available? Eyewitness News spent the day tracking Monroe Township District officials. Not a single one, as of this deadline, responded to requests for comment, including all 9 members of the school board. This man is vice president for TTI Environmental, the company responsible for preparing the report on mold at Holly Glen. You gave assurances that this could be fixed?
I can't talk, man. Yeah,
Are you going to remediate this as well?
We're looking.
You're inspecting, right? Well, they are inspecting. Of course, you saw us catching up with that inspector outside of the high school, but every other school was basically empty. This is that report. We are taking what is inside this report to independent experts to try and peel away the layers of a smoking gun. What is in this report that could be dangerous to students? I will see you with that part of our coverage and perhaps a statement from the school district today at 6 o'clock. Live tonight in Williamstown, Joe Holden, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
Okay, Joe, we will see you at 6. Thank you.